just start. All right, welcome everyone who's watching later, to the Four Guys with Quarters podcast, Episode 9. Um, Today we're going to talk about Destiny a little bit. We're going to go back to that and talk about our new impressions after a full week with the game. We're going to talk about Microsoft buying Mojang, the creators of Minecraft, so that should be interesting. We're going to talk about also the Forza Horizon 2 demo that just released. We're going to also do some deals with gold discussion, and we'll talk about this cloud gaming situation. We'll talk about that at the end because that's the extra special topic. But before we get started today, I just want to introduce our guest. He is a former game developer. His name's Andrew. He worked for EA, and he will be giving us a little insider perspective this week. Andrew, you want to just give a quick spiel about yourself and tell us what you've been doing?
Sure. So I went through a master's program here in Orlando at the University of Central Florida to get into game design. Before that, I was a business administration student, and so I have this interesting perspective of coming from like the business side and the creative side of developing a video game. Right out of college, I got a job at EA where I worked for about 8 months as a designer on Madden 13. I got to do some cool things there. We'll talk about that, I'm sure, as we go on. But I actually left the corporate game development world to get into education technology, which is where I currently work. And that gives me the freedom to work on indie projects on the side. So I was a former corporate game developer, but still consider myself an indie developer in the current days.
Very cool. So you're one of us, but you're not really one of us.
Right.
Good way to put it. Okay.
Yeah, he reached a professional level that we have yet to attain.
That's right. That is right. All right, I won't neglect the other guys. We got Clowns as usual. What's up, man?
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
We got Chaos as usual.
Ooh, hello.
And we got, last but not least, our little assassin.
What's up?
And yeah, so we get the usual cast of characters plus our guests. So it should be a good one today. It should be a good one. Before we get started officially, let me just give a shout out really quick to our partner in advertising and just in general with topics and just Xbox talk in general. XboxCulture.com, guys, go there if you would, and just check out the forums there. Check out the articles. They have some really cool interviews with game developers that are unique to them. They did it personally, and they talk about it there. We have a forum thread there just for our podcast, so you can go check that out and talk to us there if you'd like. And they also do cool giveaways, so if you sign up there on the forums, introduce yourself, and just make 10 posts, you will be eligible for their monthly giveaways, which are really cool. Last month they gave away Diablo 3, they gave away Metro, Redux, and some credit for LeapTrade.com. So
this month they're giving away a signed copy from Bethesda of Wolfenstein.
Right, so they've got it by the whole team, I think, signed that copy. So go there, sign up, say hi to us there. We'll definitely be active on there, and yeah, check them out. All right, so now that's over. We'll talk about our first topic, and we are revisiting Destiny this week after a full week of playing. Our opinions have changed, have they not, gentlemen?
Yeah, for me,
think,
sort of. Today, I think
Chaos-
I'm a little aggravated with it. Mostly for me, it's just the number of drops in the game, and I think it's mostly due to RNG. But I've seen Clowns and I've seen Assassin play it, and I see the drops they're getting, and just the sheer luck. I don't know if it's just based on luck or what. We don't know the exact system on how it works, but I think I'm just myself getting a little aggravated with it. But I still think it's a very, very good game.
Now, Chaos sounds like he's a little down on it, but we've got a member of this panel that is pretty high on it right now, and we'll let him speak really quick. Go ahead, Clowns. I don't know if people watched it last week, but he famously gave his 2 out of 10 review, and it looks like he's going to go up on that this week. Am I right?
Yeah, to be fair and honest, I think I'd probably rate it about either a 4 or a 5 out of 10 right now. The grind is the most fun in the game. There's still no story. The cinematics are still very good, though. The graphics are amazing. The PvP is still on balance. Hope they fix that eventually. But since I've been getting exotic drops left and right, I think Bungie has listened to me, and I love that. Sorry, Chaos.
No, it's cool. I mean, I was giving the game praise, and I think I raged a little bit on Twitter today. So maybe tonight I'll get an exotic while playing, or not. Who knows?
Assassin, you got anything to add to this newfound love, maybe for Clowns, or hate for Chaos, or are you still in the middle?
I feel bad for Chaos. I mean, he didn't love the game, and we've been knocking it. But maybe he'll get that one orange that's good, or maybe it'll be a hand
I think
cannon.
that would make me happy, even if it was a hand cannon, as long as it's exotic. Because there's people who's got a whole set of an exotic gear, and I've been playing it this long. I should have already gotten decked out legendaries. As much farming as I've been doing,
Yeah.
So why don't we ask our guest here about, since we're talking about loot in particular, and he was a game developer. Let's talk about diversity of loot. How do you have anything to say about that in terms of the diversity of loot that we're getting? Because I think that's one of the main knocks for everyone, is that everything looks the same and acts the same, and it's just you talk so much about loot, you talk so much about what you can do, and there's just so little there. Is this a hard thing to do to diversify? Because we saw with Borderlands, they must have had some sort of algorithm that did it all for them, obviously, because there's no way they could have had all these different guns. But
right.
Anything you can say about that in particular? Or?
So Borderlands has a very interesting system where they don't have the concept of a gun. That they have the different components that make up a gun, so they can have an algorithm that will randomly generate a weapon that makes sense, and depending on your playstyle, it can be really awesome. Typically, Bungie controls things more than that, so they're not going to leave the quality of an item up completely to chance. They're going to want to have an individual actually design it. So that obviously takes time, and I fully expect that the diversity of items to increase as the game goes on, as Bungie's pretty devoted to continually updating Destiny. So initially, I think it's also one of the advantages of having this always connected universe is that I know they have producers and designers sitting right now looking at the statistics of the drops, and they're probably running around like crazy saying, oh crap, this isn't adjusted properly, let's fix this. So I would expect that without really noticing it, without noticing a big jump, I expect that you'll see it fixed and started to distribute a little more evenly as you continue to play the game. It's just kind of growing pains of this initial release here.
Gotcha. So they're retaining. You think they're retaining the original people to work on this, or are they hiring new people, or how do they go about doing it?
So where I used to work, we had the concept of a live team that would adjust and continue to work on the game after it was released, while the core development team went on to the next project. With a project like Destiny, I imagine that it probably is still the same development team working on it, and the same guys that initially came up with the design for how the drops are going to work are probably still working and tweaking on that. I would expect that to be how it works, simply because they already know it, and that's their one thing they added to this game. They're going to want to keep working on it until it works properly.
Gotcha. Right, that makes sense. I'm getting a bad echo for some reason. There we go. It's better. Anything else about that, guys? About the loot drops in particular?
No, I think it's funny that there's actually a Twitter profile for Legendary Ingram right now, and it's if you go to Twitter and look it up, it's very funny. Let me see if I can pull up one of his latest tweets here. I don't know if somebody from Bungie made this or just a fan of the game, but um, this one's really funny. It's Legendary Ingram. You might as well rename your clan. See attached Blue Man Group, because usually when you go decrypt these Ingrams, they turn into blue weapons. So I mean, it's just funny stuff like that. And I think they had somebody made another profile for the Cryptarch and how he was laughing about all the glimmer and he could go home and sleep on his bed of glimmer. Glimmer is of course the currency in the game, so I thought that was pretty hilarious.
Mm-hmm. So while our guest ducks out really quick, let's just talk about. That's a good thing you mentioned about the loot. I'm glad you did, because I totally would have forgot about it. With more hours that we've put into the game, we've discovered the Cryptarch system and how you can get a blue item or a blue thing to decrypt at the Cryptarch, and it might not give you a blue rarity item. What do you guys think about that? I mean, I think some of us have been frustrated about that. Me included. Like, I'll be the first one to say that frustrates me beyond belief. That I can read that decrypted item, and I have to go back to the tower to the Cryptarch, and it might give me a green. That just pisses me off. That's the one thing I hate about the game. What do you guys think about that?
It doesn't bother me right now. I mean, I'm on a good streak. Assassin's on a pretty good streak. Assassin and I, we've come up with this method that Wes, one of our friends in Chaos, did not believe us on, and it's called the kill, 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 kill method. Basically, all you do is just go out, kill hordes of stuff, hip fire, do not use your scope, just kill, 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 melee, and then watch the loot drop.
Right, so it was out there, rumored out there. I don't know if this was ever confirmed. Maybe you heard something, Clowns, but if you hip fire, you get better drops, or you get more numerous drops, or what is it exactly, Clowns? You were telling me about it earlier.
When you just go out and hip fire and kill horde after horde after horde after horde, you're going to get a lot more legendary drops, especially once you hit 20, 21, rather than if you, let's say, scope and use a strategy, hide behind something, scope again, use a strategy. It's not going to work for you. You're not going to get as many drops. You're not getting as many kills, so your percentages are a lot lower that way.
Okay, so do we think that's more about the fact that you're getting fewer kills, or because they're rewarding people that hip fire?
I heard rumors on the Bungie forums that they're being rewarded for hip fire. I don't know how true that is yet. I haven't been able to confirm it, but some of the rumors were that so many games use scopes, and they wanted to get people kind of away from that, and that hip fire and hurts a little bit more and increases your chances. I'm still waiting for confirmation, though.
All right, cool. Two other guys want to get in on that discussion at all? The hip firing thing, specifically, if you want? I mean, that sounds crazy to me. Am I the only one?
Yeah, I don't know. That sounds really weird to me. I mean, I see where he's taking the whole kill, kill, kill thing. I mean, yes, if you kill more enemies and like have like a little kill streak, you do see a drop. But again, we don't know how the system works. We haven't got a confirmation. But really, I think I don't know if it's luck or what, but it gets very aggravating.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think the biggest knock against this game, and we'll get into the content in general in a minute, but I think the biggest knock for me against this game is the loot, especially coming from Borderlands. I mean, I hate to keep comparing it to that, and we did it last week, comparing it to Borderlands, but I mean, the loot drops are just so infrequent, man. They're just so infrequent.
Yep.
Assassin, you got anything to say about loot, man? I feel like I'll let you get in on this.
Like earlier today, I was farming on Mars because that's where I got most of my loot. And Clown's like, "Oh, hip fire." I was getting nothing. I wasn't getting a single drop. Maybe a green, but I wasn't getting anything. And then when I started using my scope, I might have gotten a little bit more greens. I think a couple. I think 2 greens popped out of someone's body, but I mean, I was getting nothing hip firing. But maybe I wasn't killing them fast enough. But I mean, I was dropping them like flies. But I mean, who knows? Maybe it was just Mars, because I mean, there was a small update yesterday, so maybe I have to find a new location or whatever.
Yeah,
So who knows?
it's a good point. Good point. Yeah, I feel like this is one of those games where the updates are going to come frequently. I mean, we said that last week when we were trying to back it up a little bit, but um, so far we've seen a few updates here and there. And yesterday I was playing, for instance, we were knocking the lack of community events last week, and yesterday I was playing on one session on a map when I was doing a patrol mission on, I think it was on the moon. I got 3 community events in 20 minutes. I mean, it didn't need to be that frequent, Bungie, but I mean, it needed to be more frequent than one in a day. You know. Anybody else have any experience with that in terms of community events being more frequent? Or?
Yeah, they go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
They're coming a lot more frequently. I've seen. So I mean, you can be playing on a patrol mission for a good 10 minutes, and then at the 10-minute mark, you should get a public event somewhere in your area, which is good because some of these higher ranking materials, the only way to get these are by doing the public events, and that takes time to upgrade your higher level gears with these ascendant materials.
Mm-hmm.
So it's good that they're upping that. I think now their main issue needs to be the drop rates and maybe fixing the Cryptarch to where they raise, if you do get a legendary Engram or even a blue, there's a higher chance of getting a legendary or exotic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think they will. I think they'll raise it. I mean, I think they're going to have to. The outcry on Twitter and stuff, and programs like us that are online, and streamers in general that are just playing and giving it a bad name because of the drops. I mean, they've got to increase the drops. I know that they want to put a high value on the loot, and what more to put high value than to make it rare, but they just got to increase the loot. I mean, and that doesn't mean increase the uncommons. I mean, increase everything.
Increase the actual percentage. I mean, when you take an actual purple Engram to the Cryptarch and he gives you a blue, like, that is so aggravating. Something that you've spent hours farming, and you take it to this guy to get it decrypted because some of these legendaries in the game, they're hard to come by. Like, you have to work for them. The 2 legendaries that I have right now, of course, I farmed one day for hours on Venus. I mean, I farmed for hours, and I got these 2. Well, actually, they came from blue Engrams, which is funny. I mean, so it's so aggravating when this happens. So I mean, if you can raise it just a little bit to where at least we get a legendary, we're guaranteed that color item from that Engram, that would be okay, I think.
Definitely. And don't get us wrong here, guys, if you're listening and you think we're just trashing it because you usually get lower level items. I mean, you do get blues often if you get blue Engrams, and you can get a legendary Engram, a purple gun from a blue Engram. So I mean, it goes both ways, but it just seems right now that it's going more down than up. Anything else in the loop before we move on to content discussion here? Just general.
No, I don't think so.
All right, so now let's talk about, just real quick about the content, because now we've all beaten the game. We've all done hours of farming, especially clowns, of course. And clowns, even though in my opinion, there isn't a lot to do. People have been finding a lot of enjoyment out of farming over and over again and getting that rare loot. The rarity of the loot and getting it first, I think, has encouraged a lot of people to play. But all in all, the content still isn't, it still isn't what you'd expect it to be, I think. And, right, Clowns? I mean, we kind of had a discussion about this off air, about how maybe it's not having fun, but it's just the excitement of getting it before everyone else. Is that what it is for you? Or?
I think that's what it is. Because, in all honesty, what's really unfair in this situation is that, as everybody knows that has seen the podcast, my love for this game goes beyond limits here. And Chaos is was a true supporter of this game from the beginning. And he's the one that convinced me to get it. He helped me change my opinion on it to get it, because I had some doubts. And throughout the whole thing, Chaos has been like, no, it's a good game, you just got to get into it. And once I started grinding, I loved the game. And I'm getting all these exotic drops, like the chest piece, guns. But Chaos, he's not getting any. And he's a huge fan of this game, and it's kind of unfair, realistically, to the true fans.
Hold on a second. I'm dropping a lot of frames. I don't know if people are seeing that. Okay, I think we're good. We might have dropped a lot of that. Somebody in the somebody, if you're watching the podcast, let us know. Oh, damn it. What is going on here? Hold on a second. Technical difficulties. Holy cow, what is going on here?
I have no idea.
I think something might be wrong with Twitch. I think we're back to normal. Okay. So, Clowns, just sum that up again. Sorry, I think we might have missed that because of Twitch having an issue.
Alright, basically, just to sum up, just in case you guys did miss it, I just, coming from Chaos, who's been a real hardcore fan of this game from day one, who has convinced me to get it, and probably Assassin to get it as well. It's kind of unfair to him because he's not getting these exotic drops like Assassin and I are getting. I already got an exotic chest piece, 2 exotic guns, everything else is decked out in Legendary except for my helmet. And here's Chaos, who's putting hours in the game, dedicated to the story, dedicated to the multiplayer, dedicated to the strikes, and he's not getting the drops we are. I just don't see how it's fair to the true fans, and I think they need to fix that for them.
Right.
Yeah, and I mean, for me, I've been pretty much ranking up my factions, and that does take time to do. So that's the only way I've gotten my legendaries. The legendaries that I do have are 2 weapons, and like I said, I got them the first night I farmed on Venus, but it took me hours to get them. So other than that, I'm waiting for this weekend to actually get some sort of an exotic. I do have an exotic bounty, but in order to complete it, I have to complete 25 strikes and then go into multiplayer and get 10,000 experience points. Ooh. So that's I mean, yeah, I'll have an exotic after that, but I'd much rather have just a legendary drop and get it and be done.
Right. And people in the chat, if you're in here, you have something to say about Destiny, you have additional thoughts that you want to make known, let us know, and we'll look at them in the chat. We want to hear what you guys have to say. But if you got thoughts specifically about the content in the game in terms of like the missions and stuff, that's what we're kind of talking about now. So yeah, just type that in the chat and we'll try to get to it. So Assassin, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
We haven't played the raid yet, so we had plans of doing it this weekend or something, but
yeah,
I'm hoping the raid's good. People said it's long and good, and we get drops, so there you go, Chaos, some good drops. But if it sucks, and once I get my purples, my oranges, my upgraded Sparrow, nothing's bringing me back to this game.
Right. Yeah.
That's
how it feels for me too. I feel like I'm gonna do the raid. I'm gonna get legendary weapons. I'm gonna upgrade my Sparrow, and then I'm gonna be done. I mean, what else is there to come to?
Absolutely nothing. Unless they update it with free patches.
I think there's some events going to be happening soon. There's the Iron Banner, hopefully, which is pretty much a PvP thing, but it's more. If you're good in PvE, if you got a good build for your class, you're going to do well in the Iron Banner, because it's not It's not who has the highest firing gun or more skill. It's your guardian against other guardians. So if you got the better build, if you've built your guardian right, you'll be able to do well in the Iron Banner.
I'll be interested to see that. I'll give that a run.
Because all the damage multipliers, all of them are whatever whatever your gun's damage is, that's the damage you're doing. Whatever your defense is, that's the defense you have. So I mean, again, bring your best to the Iron Banner because it's going to test you.
Right, and just quickly to address the chat, I guess who is formerly a game developer for EA and now is an indie game developer. He is currently going to pick up his wife, so he'll be back. So if you have questions for him about anything in terms of inside knowledge or anything like that, he'll try to answer them. Or if you want a perspective from a game developer, you can ask them in the chat, and we'll try to get to them. Garrett says about Destiny, he likes how you can change gear, but don't like how the max level's 20. We didn't really even talk about that. The max level thing.
The hard level is 20. That's what you rank up to, and then after that you have to go out and find better gear, which has a new stat added to it, which is light. And the more light stat you have, the more levels you have. So you can go all the way up to 30. 30 is the max, really. And the gear you get in the raid is supposed to help you get there if you complete the hard mode raid, which some of this raid here is considered one of the hardest things that anybody has ever played. I think it took a team of hardcore Destiny players, like a whole team of them, 11 hours to complete in one day. Something for us who, just laid back people, it'd probably take us maybe 2 or 3 days to complete. It just depends on how you want to look at it. And the new mechanics that they've added to the raid are something that need to be taken in account too. These are stuff that we haven't seen in any part of the game. So it's not going to be, the old, same strike mission. You go, you put out Dinklebot, and, enemies come, you defend, you kill waves of enemies, then you move on. It's not going to be like that. It's going to be new mechanics.
Anybody have anything to say about that, or about the level cap in general, or anything like that? Because I think that's a good point that Chaos makes about, especially about the light level. I mean, I know Garrett did say that he knew about the light level, but I think the light level bit, requires mention here, because I think that is, as annoying as it is to find the gear to get you light, I think that's a cool mechanic for leveling up. I think speccing yourself strategically to get the most light level to level up, and hopefully we'll see gear that reflects that leveling up. Hopefully we'll see some. I haven't seen anything yet, any gear that requires you to be a high light level or anything like that, but I think that's a cool aspect. What do you guys think about that?
The light level, I think, is a pretty neat idea to add to it to level up past 20. I just think that people get exhausted with the grind, looking for that next light level up. I think it's time consuming, I should say.
Yeah, I feel like if the loot drops were at an appropriate rate, though, I think it would be a cool new way to level up instead of just getting XP, killing this, getting XP, killing that, killing. I think there's more strategy to leveling up once you get to that point, and I think that's a refreshing new twist. I think that's actually one of the few things Destiny does really right, giving you a soft cap and then the light, even though the cap may be a little low. Assassin, what do you think, man?
I mean, the light levels is cool, but once you hit 24, you're gonna need your purples. No matter what you do, you're gonna need purples to level up, and it's like they're gonna update probably the loot, but just that grinding for loot, trying to get that 25th level is just so frustrating. After I'll get purples and I'll turn right to a green. It's like, are you kidding me? I'd rather just throw my controller and hopefully that will give me better loot.
I plan on doing that by next week. If I don't have an exotic, I'm throwing my controller.
Oh my god! I think you'll have one by next week, man. With how much you play. Hopefully.
Well, I'll have one from the exotic dealer, but probably That'll be it.
Yeah. Just quickly, a question in the chat. We're talking about light levels here. When you remove armor that has light, do you drop those levels? Yes, you drop light levels.
Yeah.
So you have to be strategic. You might pick up a piece of armor that has, better stats, but no light level. Are you willing to risk that light level in order to equip something that has more armor, or more strength, or intellect, or discipline, or whatnot? So there's definitely some strategy involved. All right, our developer is back. What's up, man? Can you hear us?
Yeah, sorry about that, guys. I'm back.
No problem. We saved our question for you about the content. We were talking a little bit before the show about $500 million was the advertised amount that they said they put into this game, and we wanted to get the developer opinion about what $500 million would be used for, especially in Destiny, because we're talking about how it doesn't have a lot of content. We've gone over a little bit while you were gone, how it's lacking on the missions, the story missions, and lacking in the loot department. So, can you give us like a little background about what $500 million would go into?
Yeah, that's a really good question, because if you look at budgets for most games, you'll wonder how in the world is that much money required to make a game. And even you look at like the Kickstarter success stories, you'll get games that are funded for $60,000 and don't come out, and people are like, "Well, $60,000 is so much money." No, it's not. So in the case of Destiny, you're talking like $500 million. You can assume that right off the top, half of that is going to sales, marketing, that type of stuff. Typically, in large games, for every dollar you spend on development, you've got to spend $1 on sales and marketing. So just cut that in half right off the top. And this being one of Activision's big bet, I know that they spend big dollars on it. So the other thing is you have in that. So there's $250 million remaining. You need to take away all of the human resources, all of the QA salaries, all of the non-developer things that they do factor in. Typically when they do like a budget like that, they'll include overhead of like rent for the office space and all that stuff. So you cut that down, and now you're starting to get into the actual amount that it costs to build the game. So if you estimate Bungie is in West, so they're probably average salary. If you're looking at an average, you're probably north of 100,000 of a burdened cost per employee, including like their benefits and all that stuff. So say this is a 3-year project, one person is going to be responsible for $300,000. If you think of it in that terms, it starts to add up quickly, and you can see where the numbers come from. So I mean, in a project like Destiny, I'm sure that they built their own tools to allow them to develop for the future. So in addition to the game development team, you're also going to have like an engine or platform team that isn't directly Destiny, but is like all Destiny products in the future. So that was probably taken into consideration as well.
Gotcha. So instead of us getting mad about $500 million for what have you done for me now, just think about it as this is going to be a game that lasts a long time, and what you see is not the full package yet, not even close, kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about like what Rockstar does with their Grand Theft Auto series, like they invest a tremendous amount of money into getting the technology working, and then they use that for like an entire generation. So I would expect that Bungie has done something similar with Destiny.
Cool. All right, that answers it. I think. You guys have any follow up for that, or?
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you there. I think this is a new IP for them. This is going to be a new. I mean, they're going to make another game or add more content to the original. So yeah, I mean, we're going to see more content come out for Destiny, definitely.
What's really interesting, I don't know if you guys saw the article, but one of the things publishers do is they will tie a financial incentive to like Metacritic scores, and Destiny allegedly has one for they needed to have like a 90 or above in Metacritic after the first month, and they would receive like a $2.5 million bonus.
Oh, they're not gonna get there, I don't think.
Yeah, it doesn't look like they're going to get there. So that's just an interesting little aside that a lot of publishers do for their development teams.
Gotcha. But that doesn't say that's not to say that they paid anybody off to give better reviews, is it?
Well, typically the publisher won't do anything like that, and I wouldn't count on the developers really to do too much about it either. I don't know that I've. So here's what I would say. I would say that if there is a situation where a review outlet is getting paid for scores, that it's going to be from a rogue employee, not from the organization itself. In the internet age, it's way too easy to get caught doing that type of stuff. So IGN gets a lot of flack for having advertisements on its site for games that are coming out, and people think that, oh my gosh, you advertised Watch Dogs and now you gave it an 8.4 when it was really deserved an 8.2. You guys are taking money from Ubisoft. That's not how it works at all. At all.
Gotcha. We got a question in the chat. I think we can answer this. I'm not sure if we have to direct it toward Andrew or not. The question was, if you buy a Game of the Year edition after all the DLC comes out, will you get the DLC for free? That's usually how it works, Garrett. So I don't know if you're going to get all the DLC. I mean, I think Destiny is more than a year kind of game from the way we've been talking about it and the way that Andrew has been talking about, the financial investment. So I don't think you're going to get a Game of the Year edition that soon that comes with all the DLC, so I wouldn't plan on that if I were you. Am I wrong about that, guys? What do you think?
No, I don't think it's going to be that soon. I mean, they just planned on doing an expansion to it in December and another expansion at an unnamed time, so I think it's going to work a little bit like World of Warcraft on their expansions. I mean, they're just going to expand on a game, and eventually maybe they might release some kind of sequel to it or even a trilogy to it. I mean, this is a whole new franchise for Activision and Bungie to go on. So,
gotcha.
But I know Activision with Call of Duty, they put they'll come out with the Destiny with the first 2 DLCs in the future, with $60, put that on there like they do with COD, with you get the first DLC free with the dog skin. They could do something like that, but I don't see with all the DLC.
Good point. Yeah. So I mean, the season pass right now, or whatever they're calling it, they probably have their own name for it. I can't even recall at the moment. What's the name of it, you guys? You guys name it?
I think it's an expansion pass right now.
It's just called the expansion pass, season
Correct.
pass, same thing. It only comes with 2 DLCs, and that led people to think, okay, well, and especially now after they've played and seen how little content there really is in Destiny, they're thinking, oh my gosh, wow, there's only going to be 2 DLCs to this? Like, usually the season pass includes all the DLC that's even planned for the game. I would say calm down to those people. I think there's going to be more than 2. What do you guys think about that?
I think they're going to be continuing adding stuff to this, and they could add another raid to the new expansion. I mean, they already said they're going to be more multiplayer maps, more story content. I mean, even if it's we go to a different planet, I think that will be okay. So,
just to briefly go on this before we move off topic, I just want to add on to what Andrew was saying, that with Activision putting all this money into the marketing, the development with Bungie and getting it out there. Basically, I think this game is probably going to last a long time with Activision behind it, because they are a publishing powerhouse. And if they keep on putting the right development into it, the right marketing into it, I think this game could eventually be very successful in its scores if they add on a deep story, deeper twists, more cinematographics. I think they could do it. I think the PvP needs balancing.
Okay, so let's quickly segue into that, clowns. That's a good segue there. We've gotten some more experience in the multiplayer. What do we think now about the multiplayer? Let's have Chaos started first. Chaos, what do you think about the multiplayer, man? Any different from what you thought last week? Or?
I mean, I still think it has a few networking issues. I still see that sometimes, but right now, I think it's decent. I think they're adding more game modes as they go. I think we played that salvage mode, me, you, and Assassin, and I think we enjoyed that mode very well. I'm seeing a lot more higher ranked people in the actual PvP portion, so that's good. I mean, overall, I mean, it's not more of a case of me getting, raging out and quitting, but I think it's getting a little better.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Anybody else? Clowns, Assassin? I know Andrew hasn't really played it because he doesn't even. You don't own the retail game, right? You said.
No, nope. Beta turned me off.
Beta turned him off, so he didn't really do the PvP thing as it is currently constituted. So, Clowns or Assassin? Anything to say about the PvP?
I mean, we had a really bad day in the Crucible yesterday. I mean,
really bad.
I mean, you go on the crappy beta moon map, that everyone just absolutely loves. I think more than half their team was sitting in a corner with their little sniper rifles.
Oh,
You couldn't do
brutal.
anything.
It's brutal.
You couldn't. You spawn, boom, and you're dead. You move 2 feet, boom, dead. And then if you go inside, there's some guy camping in a corner with an LMG fusion rifle or running up at you with their shotgun, and then they instantly have their little stupid ability that, for some reason, I die super easy when I'm in it, but apparently they're God and they don't die. So.
Yeah. I think they got to work on the netcode. I think I agree with Chaos. The first week it was really evident, but not so much now. But geez, I mean, some people just have bullet sponges online. Like the worst Activision online game I've ever seen, I think, in terms of that. But Clowns, you want to give an opinion?
I think that the biggest thing with the PvP that doesn't make sense to me, and I hope Bungie fixes this, is that you can have a level 14 gun that has a high impact rating and one-shot somebody that could be a level 26. It just depletes their shield and energy.
Yeah.
I don't know why they allow something like that. Maybe to try and even it out a bit, if you pay attention to the impact rating. But I just think it's unfair for that 26 or 27 that worked hard to get there and just get one shot at the whole time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, but they got to keep it an even playing field somehow, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's probably why they did it. I see it way too often, though.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. All right, quickly to the chat because we've got some questions for Andrew. A couple questions. Tommy's WD101 wants to know why the beta turned you off.
Well, I'm more likely to put a million hours into a game like Skyrim than I am into a game like World of Warcraft. I'm not a big multiplayer gamer. I really don't like experiences that can be ruined by hooligans running around in the game world. Like I like to play at my own pace. As we talked about before the podcast, I am the guy that plays Minecraft on creation mode because I want to do my own thing and not be bothered by stuff. Yeah, so like the beta was cool. It was fun. I played with some of my friends, but that's just not the type of experience that draws my attention for a $60 purchase.
Gotcha. Definitely fair, and I wish I kind of had the same opinion because I don't know if I would have bought this right away. Not based on the fact that I only do single player, but I mean, in terms of it not being worth $60, I kind of agree at this point. And the second question is from the Jizzle. He says, I've always maintained that developers don't get a ton of data from public betas, but can you just keep it real with us here? Is it just load statistics, really, or are public betas really helpful to correcting issues? And then he says, by load statistics, he means how it handles heavy network loads. So, did you get all that?
Yeah, that's definitely a big portion of it. But in a game like Destiny, where so much of the game is determined by like variables and algorithms in terms of like loot drops, and Bungie has like really complex aiming logic for the console controller. So the designers aren't going to make like wholesale changes from a beta, but they're going to look at the variables that they've set and say that, you know what, we're getting way too many headshots that we're not supposed to. We need to tweak the precision on the aiming just a little bit to make it more difficult. So don't think of it in terms of we're going to change the game from a beta, but more of we're going to refine what's already there from beta feedback.
Gotcha. And I think for people that participate in a public beta, I think it would be better if people, if the developers or if the companies in general like let out a release saying this is what we're changing. You know what I mean? This is what we found and are changing. And if they made that available to the general public instead of, instead of just like keeping it on a hidden beta form or something. You know what I mean by that, Andrew? Or
yeah, well, so that's one of the interesting things about the culture of big game development studios is that there's this balancing act that they all walk between like revealing too much and revealing not enough. I don't know if you guys followed the Double Fine Adventure Kickstarter where they like talked a whole lot about their development process for backers. They were pretty open. That's really unusual for a developer. And it's this misplaced notion that we keep everything under wraps and it's our secret sauce, and then we'll blow everybody's mind and make lots of money. But I don't think that benefits anybody, and I think that as indie development continues to grow, you're going to see that go away. Look at Minecraft. Minecraft came out with this crazy model of charging the game for a little bit of money and then building it as we go. And that's the type of stuff that I think you'll see more of, as opposed to the keeping the cards to the chest and leaving everybody in the dark.
Gotcha. Assassin was a big fan of that Minecraft beta, right?
Love Minecraft.
Oh my god! See,
I love it.
that is a good. I think that's a good strategy. I think we need to see more of that. We were talking on one of the prior podcasts actually about, this is a little bit off topic, but whatever, about companies putting out like initial builds of games, like for instance DayZ, okay, that's always in alpha or whatever, always in beta, whatever it is now, and people are just out there playing it. Like, why don't they do stuff for that for the Xbox, where they have long-standing alphas and betas that you can pay a little bit of money for or whatnot? You know what I mean? Is that just harder to do on consoles from a development standpoint, or?
No, it's actually rules. Microsoft and Sony have really crazy, strict rules about what has to be in a game to be approved to be available to users. So, like, one of the examples that we had in one of the games I worked on was a string of text wasn't properly formatted in German, 1 out of 12 times that you saw it. So it got rejected from approval for stuff like that. So you think of like PC games where it's literally just the four of you that release something and people play it. Like, you don't have all that other stuff that you got to worry about.
Right. So, I mean, that was kind of off topic, but I think that was good insight there. Anybody got anything to add to that really quick, or before we move on? Clowns, Chaos, Sass, anything? Oh, quiet as usual.
Yep.
Alright, so you want to give a quick, before we get off Destiny, guys, you want to just give a quick out of 10 rating now that we've had it for a week? Just really quick, Clowns, number?
5 out of 10.
5, that's up from 2 last week. Chaos?
I think I gave it a 7 out of 10. I'm still going with my 7 out of 10. I haven't attempted the raid yet, so ask me after that, and then I'll tell you.
All right, we'll get more Destiny talk in another podcast, but we got to move on. Assassin, what do you think?
5, but the rate can lower to raise it, so we'll find out.
All right, I'm staying at my 6 right now. I just think it's meh. In a meh game with pretty graphics gets a 6, I think, out of 5. So, at least the average went up, clowns.
Yeah, the grinding made it go up for me.
Nice. All right. And just the last thought from the chat. Gorilla Bomb says, Destiny is garbage 6v6 game, in my opinion. We think pretty much the same thing. But we'll wait and see. Maybe they'll add some more modes and they'll fix the netcode. But as right now, it's garbage. All right, so let's move on. We're going to eliminate one of our topics so we can be on time here. But we'll talk about the major ones. The next one I definitely want to talk about is the Microsoft buyout of Mojang, the developer of Minecraft. And so the buyout was, what, $2.5 billion, guys? Was that right?
Yep, that's correct.
Something like that. Now, here's another money. I think we've mentioned money in this podcast more than any other podcast combined. But it's kind of appropriate because we got the developer here to talk about it. $2.5 million, is that appropriate? I mean, are they going to make that money back? Or?
Microsoft actually expects to break even within the first year after the acquisition.
Mm-hmm.
But keep in mind that for Microsoft, this is now purchasing a studio that has a product on every platform. I think you probably have a microwave that is playing Minecraft right now. Now Microsoft owns that.
Yep.
So it's a smart business. It's a smart business move for Microsoft. It's good for Mojang. Seems like a tremendous amount of money because $2.5 billion is a tremendous amount of money. But Microsoft is really one of the only companies that I think could help continue to grow that. So I think it'll work out for them.
Now, before we continue about that, and let's just talk about buyouts in general, just really quick with you, because I think you might have said that you worked for a company that was bought out or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, talk about maybe what the employees of Mojang are going to expect from a buyout. Are they going to be able to maintain? I think Clown's actually. I'm going to give the credit to Clowns. I think this was Clown's question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. What do you think the employees are going to be able to maintain, their worker integrity and stuff with the Microsoft buyout? You think Microsoft's just going to let them do their thing, or what should they expect?
I think it'll be a gradual change. So the culture in Mojang is something that's very important to the success of their games. So Microsoft knows that, and they're not going to change that too much. My understanding is that the employees there are still going to keep control over all their social media and all of that. So that's not going to go under the Microsoft banner. But in terms of a buyout, there's typically two things that happen. The employees get really excited because they have new opportunities, or the employees quit and leave as the buyout happens. We've seen that the top 3 big dogs at Mojang have decided to leave. That's pretty typical, and I really encourage reading Notch's letter. If you haven't seen that on his website, it's a really good read. But it gives you an idea of the difference between developing games and working at a game studio, 2 very different things. So the buyout that I personally went through was really good for us. It gave us a cash infusion to continue developing what we were doing, and any time that you like what you're doing and have an opportunity to keep doing that is usually a pretty good thing.
Cool. So, do we expect for anyone can take this, or everyone? This was asked in the chat. Tommy's WD101 asked. Microsoft going to publish on a Sony console? They're going to continue publishing on Sony consoles, you think?
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
They've said before, and I think even the CEO of Microsoft said in that video when he purchased that they were going to continue on all the platforms, including Sony. So they're going to continue on all of them. I don't see a reason why they wouldn't.
Mm-hmm. And just to interject here real quick, add on what Chaos is saying. It's a pretty smart move from Microsoft, like Andrew said as well, because think about it, now they got a product on all these other platforms, so it could boot up with the Microsoft logo. They could throw an ad right before the game starts for their Xbox One bundles or something else they're selling. I mean, it's pretty ingenious. They could even make a Major Nelson DLC character that would be available on all platforms.
Wow. Unreal. I didn't even think of that. That's kind of funny. But yeah, people in the chat, if you got anything to say about Minecraft buyout or Minecraft Xbox One version, let us know, dude. We'll shout you out. We'll talk about it. What else do we have about this Minecraft thing, though? Specifically about the buyout. Somebody had a good point earlier in the week. I wish I'd written it down. Was it you, Assassin?
I don't. If it was me, I don't remember. I.
Yeah, I know. I can't exactly remember, but there was a good point that we came up with about this. Oh no, it was you. It was you. I remember it now. So maybe Andrew can shed some light into this too. In terms of like exclusivity, now Minecraft is a game that comes like with a lot of updates. So I think it was you that was because I was a Minecraft noob before Xbox One edition. So I don't know like the version 1.1, 1.2. That's how they used to do it, right? Or that's how they do it. Assassin, is that right?
Yeah.
So are we to expect Microsoft to get those updates first on PC and Xbox consoles and then let the other consoles wait? Or is that not a smart move? Is that something that occurs in the gaming industry? Or do you know anything about that, Andrew?
So that does happen a lot, but what's interesting about Minecraft is that it's not a $60 game, and Minecraft isn't the type of product that is going to make somebody buy an Xbox One instead of a PlayStation 4. First of all, because Minecraft's already out on everything else. But Microsoft doesn't really have a whole lot to gain from doing a release only to Xbox or Xbox 360, simply because they're not going to sell more units of the console by doing that. I mean, if a user can already play, Minecraft previous version on PlayStation 4, it's probably going to be good enough for them. So I don't expect to see anything crazy exclusive come to the Xbox consoles. I mean, it doesn't mean that it won't, but I don't expect it to be like a game changer at all at this point.
All right, that makes sense. I mean, why would they exclude them now? And you're right. It's not like, especially at such a low cost of entry, it's not something that's going to get people to switch. But Assassin, I give you credit. You did come up with that in the middle of the week.
Mm-hmm.
I do remember that.
But
yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
They could even add more stuff. Who knows? Maybe in Minecraft we'll get these teeny little Xbox Ones in the game, and their paintings have the Microsoft logo.
Oh my God! Can you imagine what a slap in the face that would be if you're playing on your PS4 and you get to build a console with some like netherrack or something? On the Sony, that's what it would be. You'd have to build it with netherrack, some stuff from hell, in order to build an Xbox One. That would be so funny. Some nether brick and some like green stone instead of like
new idea for our world. We're gonna build an Xbox One.
Are we? All right. Yeah, that sounds good. We gotta collaborate on it though. We gotta actually like meet in the middle and actually work on it together. But what else do we have about this? Yeah, everybody in the chat is saying they love the Xbox One edition. There isn't anything really different though from the 360 version, is there? Other than the size.
Autosave. But
Auto-saving. Yeah, other than that, I don't think there's really much to talk about this takeover. I mean, I don't think it really means any change. That's why it's so weird to me.
I wanted to just go back on Notch, one of the founders. I did read his interview that he had, and he pretty much stated that he didn't make games to be mainstream. I mean, he just made games to make games. I mean, he didn't want to be responsible for something to be so mainstream. So, I mean, Minecraft started off something small for him, and he didn't want to be as mainstream as it got. So, I mean, he did say that if he ever creates anything and it gets any kind of following, he's just gonna, trash it because he doesn't want to be responsible for that.
Gotcha. Yeah, but this is just so weird to me. It's like, why would you spend? Oh, and then Clowns had a good point. Clowns, you want to talk about what you were saying earlier about this takeover and the money aspect? You know, you were telling us about some layoffs that Microsoft has had.
Yeah, I mean, to my perspective, I understand why they'd want an IP like Minecraft. I mean, it blew up in popularity and everything. 2.5 billion seems kind of like a lot to me. I don't know all the aspects of how much Minecraft was actually making for Microsoft to make that back. But then you look at the flip side of the coin, and it's an industry that's having layoffs right now. And Microsoft has announced the second wave of layoffs: 18,000 employees, 3,000 in Redmond, and I guess, a lot of their former Nokia employees. And now they just spent 2.5 billion on Minecraft, so it kind of throws me off. And maybe Andrew has some insight on how that side of the industry works.
Yeah, so I'll break that into two components. Like the first thing is Microsoft specifically is much bigger than just game development. So a lot of the positions that they cut were, as you mentioned, related to Nokia, or they shut down an entire research lab in Silicon Valley. So a lot of this has to do with the new CEO is doubling down on Microsoft as a services company. So that's where they want to head, and I think the new CEO is on the right track for Microsoft. So that's one side of it. The other side of it is the game industry as a whole tends to employ a lot of contractors, which kind of sucks for the developers, but these are guys that don't get benefits. They don't get any real job security. They just get paid to show up for like 6 months, and then hopefully they have a job afterwards. So whenever you see these numbers of layoffs coming from companies like Activision or stuff like that, most of the time the big numbers that you're seeing were all contractors. That it's just the general ebb and flow. There's still a pretty solid full-time team there. It's the reality of the situation, and it's why so many guys turn indie that have been in the industry. Because if you're not going to have job stability, you might as well not have job stability while working on something cool.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe it's just the fluidity of the industry. I think getting into game development is a very popular thing now, but it's just such a fluid workspace that people don't know they're getting themselves into, and maybe we shouldn't be so shocked that a lot of people are getting laid off. But like Clown said, I think it's just so many different divisions that people are getting laid off from. It's not just gaming in general. That, I mean, it's just you look at it when you see that kind of number of layoffs and that they made this kind of purchase. You look at it as like money hungry people instead of just usual change of the guard, usual turnover.
Right. And another thing to consider is some of those people that get laid off, they might have sucked. Like that's another thing to think about, is they might have just not been good. Right. That's very real.
Right. Yeah, so don't look at these layoffs necessarily as completely a bad thing, because I mean people do get fired for being bad at their job. So yeah, I mean clearly Microsoft had the money to do this. They wouldn't go bankrupt over buying Minecraft. I mean, if it were Google, then maybe, but they'd buy Google, but not Minecraft, not big enough. But yeah, I think that does it for Minecraft. Anybody else got anything about Minecraft before we move on? Assassin, anything about Minecraft, buddy? I know you love Minecraft.
Yeah, I want to buy a little Minecraft creeper. Just saying.
You should do it then. You should do it and have it as like your little, companion on the podcast in your video frame.
Just pet it.
Anything else in the chat about Minecraft? I don't think so. Everyone's talking about Call of Duty for some reason. I hate how that happens. Kayla, you want to do your chat question and get them off?
Oh yes.
People
okay.
in the chat, listen up.
I want to know, since it's getting close to that time, what's your favorite horror game ever? Like the scariest thing you've ever played.
All right, scariest thing you've ever played, any console, any generation. And you can't say Evil Within because you haven't played it yet.
Yep.
But we're looking forward to it, too. So we'll talk about that in a future podcast when that does come out. But favorite horror game? What's your favorite horror game, Clowns?
I don't really consider Resident Evil horror, but that'd be the closest.
Oh, it is, though. That's included.
I'm not really a big fan of horror games, but I do like Resident Evil.
Resident Evil. Which one in particular, if you can?
For 360, I like 5 the most.
I'll get in here in a minute.
Ooh, that is a wild card. I like that one, too. Chaos, you're next on the list. Go ahead.
I think Dead Space is probably one of the most horrific games I played. I mean, there were some pretty jump moments that I literally couldn't play that game at night. Of course, I think I was a little younger when I played it, so yeah, I just that one I sort of jumped a little bit.
Dead Space. That's unusual. I'm not gonna lie, but I mean that was scary. I'm not gonna lie. It was kind of scary. Assassin, what do you think, buddy?
If you could count it as horror, BioShock 1.
That doesn't count as horror.
It had that scary moments, but I mean, other than that, Outlast.
Yeah,
BioShock had those moments. It was so.
I think I'm gonna have to agree with him on that because there was a part in that game where you were in the dentist's office, and like it would fog up, and you turn around and the guy would be right there. I think I jumped every time.
There's a lot of jumping moments about for me. So, but
all right, before we get Andrew's opinion, let's go to the chat really quick. We're getting white noise. I've never heard. I don't know what white noise is. Do you guys know what that is?
I think so. It's pretty scary.
Gorilla says that's the only horror game he's ever played, so it's gotta be his favorite. That's true. Jizzle says the first Resident Evil, specifically when you walk through the hallways. Or that hallway. I don't know what he means by that hallway.
I know what hallway he's talking about.
What else do we have? Garrett, I don't know what you mean by that. The Jizzles. When the dogs jump through the window. Okay, I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, that was pretty scary. And the spiders, too. The spiders were creepy as hell.
We got another vote for Dead Space from Tommy's WD 101. Yep. So, that works. Another World scares the Jizzle as well. I don't know. I'm not scared by that game whatsoever. But I'll give that one to you. Alright, Andrew, you got a horror game that was one of your favorites at all? Can you hear us?
Who are you talking to? You talking to me?
Yeah.
Oh, shoot. Yeah, I'm just reading the chat line. I can't do two things at once.
Oh, jeez.
No, so my favorite horror game that I've finished was Condemned: Criminal Origins on the Xbox 360.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That one was pretty good. The scariest game I've ever played, I didn't get close to finishing for many reasons, but that was Amnesia for a PC. That game, really don't play that with the headset on and the lights off with your back to the door in a room because it will freak you out. So I have not haven't come back to that one.
I'll have to check Amnesia out. I'm not really familiar with that, but Condemned I'm very familiar with. I was actually going to say the first Fear game for Xbox 360. The Resident Evils I was scared by, but the first Fear game, that kind of rattled me a little bit. Also, honorable mention for scariest game was oh my god, what's the name of it now? I'm blanking on the name, but it was for Dreamcast. Oh my gosh, I can't even think of it. Maybe the Jizzle will help me out. Wow, that's bad. Okay, anyway.
I would like to change it. Slender.
Slender,
oh,
yeah.
You want to change it to Slender?
Slender, yes.
That'll be an honorable mention there. Slender is, I mean, people, they get so far in the game, they're like, yeah, I'm done.
Yep.
All good choices. All good choices. I think the most unique was Dead Space, but that got 2 votes, so I should probably, replay that and get scared instead of just rushing through it. Okay, let's move on to the next topic. Just really quick, we'll talk about the deals with gold this week. For Xbox One, because Xbox 360 is a million things on sale, and it would take us another hour. So deals with gold this week. The big one was Valiant Hearts. So if you don't know what Valiant Hearts is, it's basically a side-scrolling puzzle game about World War One. Well, loosely based on World War One. And basically, it's not too intricate, but there's a lot of complicated puzzles, and the puzzles relate to furthering on the story instead of just finding, items that aren't important at all and just doing searching for a bunch of random items. It actually builds the story by searching for the items. So, and you have to get them in particular order. You can't just run around the level and pick up the items randomly. So, anything to say about Valiant Hearts? Am I the only one that has it?
I think
Yeah.
so.
I think so.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's 33% off. I would, for $10, I would definitely buy it. I bought it for 15. But for $10, I would definitely go check it out. At least watch some streams of it or something, or watch some YouTube videos. If you're a fan of war games at all, and if you're a history buff or a history fan, I definitely would go check it out. Has anybody seen it other than me? Anyone know what this is?
Yeah.
Valiant Hearts?
I
Yeah.
do. I do.
So yeah, I mean, the art style is really unique. The Jizzle says, yes, it's a good game, get it for $10. Yeah, it's developed by Ubisoft, so good developer. Definitely go check it out, 33% off. That was the good deal. The bad deals, the other two deals are just very bad, in my opinion. Killer Instinct, the retro costume pack 1 is 50% off. I mean, is anyone buying that?
No.
I mean, that's kind of a stiff move. What was the last one? The Engineer Shortcut Kit for Battlefield 4. Can you believe that's a deal with gold?
I mean, by this time, if you haven't got all the
you've probably
unlocked
unlocked it
done.
if you're a fan of that game. I mean, you've probably
Yeah.
unlocked it by now. Like, no one's waiting for this to go on sale. Why not just do all the shortcut packs on sale? I feel so slighted. Maybe we can get... usually we talk about the games with gold more, Andrew, on this podcast. The games versus deals with gold every week. The games with gold is like the free game or whatever. So, maybe from like a developer standpoint, is that a hard thing to offer? And is it a thing that the developers have a hand in? You know what I mean? Do you have anything to say about that? Like, do they have an option to, offer that up as a game to get more exposure or...
So typically, like the publisher, in this case Microsoft, would have a list of things that it wants to offer its games with gold. Now keep in mind that anytime a game gets purchased, Microsoft gets a cut of it. So it's not in Microsoft's best interest to give away like a crazy hot game for its games with gold. So that's why you typically see older games that have ended their big peak sales cycle. So take, for instance, Crimson Dragon for the Xbox One. That was a game that didn't do tremendously at retail when it first came out. Didn't get a tremendous amount of sales. But what Microsoft would do in this instance is approach the developer and say, hey, we want to make this game available as our Games with Gold promotion. You'll get 50 cents a download or something like that. I don't know what the actual number is. I'm just pulling that out of my head. You'll get X amount of dollars per download. We'll do the advertising and stuff for you. How does that sound? So for the developer, they're getting extra downloads and all that stuff, but they're not getting as much money as they would from like a retail sale, but they're getting more exposure from it. So It's the same type of thing that happens at Steam sales, really. So the publisher does get compensated, just not as much as they would for an outright sale.
Gotcha. So, when we talk about games with gold, we kind of compare it to, well, we kind of say we have to say, why aren't they offering this game or that game? Why are we getting, like, for Crimson Dragon? I mean, that's 2 months in a row that we've gotten that. Why don't they, like, I know the selection isn't huge and a lot of the other arcade games are popular, but I think you kind of answered that question already about why they don't offer some of the more popular stuff. Like, for instance, Rise Son of Rome. Like, I think if they would offer a retail title, I think that would be the one to do it, but we still have yet to see a full retail title go free with gold. Do you think something like that is going to happen in the near future, or are full retail titles just not going to make it?
It'll happen. It's just it's not going to happen anytime soon. But I think that maybe by next summer you'll see at least one full retail game has been offered there. Really, right now with the limited number of games available, it's not in Microsoft's best interest to do that. And Rise is an interesting option because Crytek nearly went out of business not too long ago, and Rise had a lot to do with that. But it's. I think it will happen, just like it's happened with the Xbox 360, and I think you'll see one of the things that could happen is. I would wager at some point in the future there will either be a deals with gold or a games with gold of one of the Halo products for Xbox One in anticipation of Halo 5. I would expect to see that to try to get the mind share going.
Mm-hmm. What did the other guys think about it? Like, about either deals with gold or games with gold in general? Any other thoughts about that?
I don't have any thoughts about that, but Andrew brought up a good point about Crytek going out of business. They actually sold Homefront to Quicksilver. They actually got rid of that IP, so Crytek's no longer going to be developing that. Quicksilver Studios is.
Interesting. Very interesting. Wasn't there a Homefront game that was supposed to be coming out soon?
Yeah, and Crytek was supposed to be the ones developing, but since they almost went under, they sold that to Deep Silver.
Oh, so that's definitely getting delayed. Yeah, that kind of sucks. I wasn't really looking forward to Homefront, but I mean, I think some of the IPs that Crytek had, they did a great job with, and I think Rise kind of got a tough break. I don't think it was that bad, but definitely didn't live up to expectations. What else? Oh, what was the last deals with gold? Did we say the last deal with gold? Oh yeah, the Engineer Shortcut Kit. That's right. Okay, so I think we're done with deals with gold. Any other deals with gold items?
Not with deals with gold, but I mean,
gold,
or games with gold. It's a different company. It's Sony, but they said I think earlier this year that they said they'd start putting out full retail games. So I think once Microsoft sees Sony doing this, I have a feeling they'll be like, oh, we're screwing up a little bit here. Maybe they'll start doing some of that, because I know next month in October, besides the games that they're giving out with PlayStation, they're also giving out Drive Club.
Right. Yeah. Right. Exactly. That's a good point. But Drive Club, what? Yeah. Since you have a PS4 and the rest of us don't, why don't you? For Drive Club, that is a full retail game, but the version that you get for free, what does that include again?
They let you get all the trophies, but they give you I think a couple tracks and a couple cars. But if you decide to like the game, instead of paying the full $60, you pay $50.
Interesting. That's interesting.
Which then wonders why you would go to a store and buy a $60 game, or you could just download the game on your PlayStation and just get it digitally for $10 cheaper without tax.
Other than the fact that you could trade it in, that really makes no sense. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Very interesting. I don't know if we'll see that anytime soon with Microsoft, but Not with a racing title, at least. They're gonna milk the hell out of Forza.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on to the last topic. We eliminated Forza from the discussion. We'll talk about that when it actually comes out. But the last thing I want to talk about tonight is the gaming through browsers rumor here. I don't know if anyone has heard about this, but apparently Microsoft has in the pipeline here, according to rumors, that you'll be able to game on your Xbox, do Xbox 360 and Xbox One games through browsers. They're testing out their cloud servers for that, and apparently people close to the project have said that they're getting, like 60 frames per second performance through a browser window. So before we get into why we think that's a good or a bad idea, let's just ask Andrew really quick. Did you guys, when you did development, did you use like when you used dev kits, were they closer to the actual hardware, or was it more like emulation?
Well, it's emulation, and the hardware in the dev kits were usually several times more powerful than the hardware itself. So you were basically approximating what the specs of the Xbox or PlayStation were going to be. So the dev kit was quite a bit beefier than what actually gets released.
Right. So, but this wouldn't be emulation, right?
What through the browser?
Yeah. So if you use their cloud service to game through the cloud or whatever, it wouldn't necessarily be emulation, right?
No, typically. So if you take a look at what Sony does with their Gaikai service, which I guess they now call PlayStation Now, I mean, this is exactly what Microsoft's talking about. Is they're running games on a box somewhere in a well-cooled remote location, and they're just streaming the video feed to you. So there's a good chance that it might actually be running on a version of the actual hardware. So I wouldn't consider this emulation. More of just remote gaming as opposed to emulation.
Right. Okay. So basically, if we don't have a faster internet connection, then we're going to be out on this. Is that how it's gonna pan out, Andrew? You think, or?
Say what?
Is it basically? Oh, did we drop him? Can you see
Yeah,
him?
I think we lost connection.
I can.
Okay.
Oh, he may be back.
Yeah, can you guys hear me now?
We can hear you. Yeah, your video's
All right,
loading.
cool.
But keep talking. Go ahead.
I didn't hear your question.
Oh, the question is like, is there going to be a huge? You think there's going to be a huge internet requirement for these people? Like, you're not going to be in on this if you're getting 5 megabit down, for instance. You're going to have a faster connection than that. Oh, we lost him? Hello?
We may have. I'm still here.
Assassin, you still here?
Yep, I'm still here.
Yeah, is it me? Is it my connection?
I think it might be. I think it might be your connection right at the end. Go figure.
Yep.
Can we hear Chaos? Is Chaos here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, I think it may be the developer's connection. Go figure. Anyway, while he's figuring that out, anyone else want to talk about this? Gaming through your browser? Does it seem like it's feasible?
I don't know. Maybe. I mean, well, what they said, any browser. So I mean, I'll plug my PS4, be like, ooh, 360 games.
Well, that's not confirmed if it's any browser. But wouldn't that be something if you could boot up your PS3, go to a browser, and play 360 games?
Oh, there we go.
I mean, you'd be able to play, according to, if Andrew's, accurate on this, which he probably is, you'd be able to play any, you'd be able to play Xbox One games, because your system is not doing the processing. It's all done in the cloud. You know what I mean? So you could use a PS3 and play Xbox One games, even though the Xbox One is many times more powerful than the PS3.
So, I mean, that's gonna be nice. play some Star Wars Battlefront on an Xbox One internet browser. Exploder, whatever, Explorer.
I don't know if we're gonna get Andrew back, unfortunately. Is everybody else here? Clowns and Chaos?
Yeah, I'm still here.
All right. That kind of sucks that we lost him at the last second, but
Try to give him a call back again.
and now the display is all screwed up. Oh no. Let's try to add him again.
Okay, man.
Anybody else got anything to say about this? About 360 in one game through your browser? Isn't this going to cut into profits? How is this going to make them more money?
Well, couldn't they charge for that service?
Well, they probably
Sorta
going to
like-
charge for the service and charge for the games,
I mean, it would.
but
I mean, it would be sort of like a, like a Netflix service or a, like a, I can't even think.
PlayStation Now.
yeah, so
PlayStation
it would be
Now.
like PlayStation Now, but PlayStation Now gets a terrible rap because Sony's going to lose money unless they charge ridiculous prices, right? I mean, isn't that essentially what the deal is going to be? Like, Sony charges, right, Assassin? Isn't that how it is? Sony charges ridiculous money, right?
They charge the full price for 90 days, I want to
For
say.
90 days of gaming, you pay the full retail, which is absurd. Absolutely absurd, and you pay more for you pay more than retail for older games. So I don't think that that would be feasible for Microsoft to do. I think they need to find, if they're gonna charge per game or whatever they're gonna do, they're gonna structure it like PS Now. They're gonna have to, find a good pay structure, because the one for PS Now does not work. I think it's gotten very negative rap, right, Assassin? What did you say?
Yeah, because I was in the closed beta for a while, it was like a huge frame rate drop. I mean, it was probably I had great connection. They can test your connection and whatnot. It said I had amazing connection for these games, and I was just lagging. I was dropping frames like no tomorrow. I mean, it was worse than Watch Dogs on multiplayer when it launched. I don't know how it's now, because I'm not going to fork over $5 for 2 hours.
Right, exactly. What do you, Clowns and Chaos, would you guys be interested in this, or are you just going to stick to your console gaming?
I'm interested in all types of gaming, so platform doesn't matter to me or how it's distributed. If the game is good, quality is good, I'm gonna play it.
Yeah.
If I could go back and play some older games, yeah, I'd love that. Depending on what the price is and how the structure works. But yeah, I would probably enjoy it.
Can any of you guys see the chat at all? Because I kind of lost the chat.
Yeah.
Anybody commenting about this at all? Or?
Not really.
Oh, we picked up Andrew again. There we are. What happened with the internet, bro?
I had internet on my desktop, so I'm like reliving the past 3 minutes as it was happening, and then it just magically connected back on my laptop. I don't know what the deal is.
Oh, very weird. Very weird. You didn't really miss much. We're just talking about basically like pay structure, and actually it's good that you came back because, working with EA, you kind of, got a good insight here about payment for games and stuff like that. So, like PS Now, I don't know how familiar you are with PS Now, Andrew, but like they charge for 90 days or a couple hours and whatnot, and they have different pay structure, and it gets a negative rap for being too expensive. So what do you think Microsoft's going to do here? You think they're going to change it? You think they're going to have a different pay structure, like a monthly fee instead of charging per game, or is that even feasible?
So OnLive tried to do something like that, and it was very difficult for them to do that because if you think about playing a game as opposed to listening to a song through like Pandora has a pretty easy monetization strategy. They're going to pay the artist per listen of a song, and that's going to be 3 to 5 minutes on average, right?
Yeah.
But how do you determine per per session? Do you do it per minute of a game? Do you do it per hour of a game? It's a lot more complex to be fair to the developers and to Microsoft to make sure that they're not completely eating all the server costs. So, truthfully, what I think will happen is I think Microsoft will go the route of similar to what Gaikai was doing before Sony bought them, and I think that you're going to be using the Internet Explorer browser inside of your Xbox One to play instant loading demos of games that you can convert to full purchase, as opposed to really trying to play full games through the web. I think it's going to be a sales tool that Microsoft uses to try to get us to buy stuff.
Wow, that's interesting. That's interesting because we've heard the rumors of Microsoft doing the try it free kind of deal, and if this is an easier way for them to do it, I mean they should definitely take advantage of it, and especially since you'll be able to try games. If you have a Windows PC, you'll be able to try games for free on your Windows PC and then go back to your Xbox and buy them. I mean, that could definitely be interesting. What do you guys think of that, Clowns or Chaos? Assassin, anybody?
I think it's like Andrew said, a good strategy. It's a way for them to get something out there and get you to try it, get you to like it, and then convert it to a full retail version. Pretty smart.
Mm-hmm. Would you guys be interested in it? Like, is this a way? Do you think this would be a way to suck us in, or do you think that you'll stick to traditional methods of finding out if games are good, like waiting for reviews and stuff?
I'm more of a hands-on, so reviews don't always matter to me. I'd rather just try it first anyway.
Cool. I mean, I'd be interested in seeing, if you did do it on your PC, are you going to be able to just, like, I don't think browsers have... I haven't tried this, at least, and I know there are some browser-based emulators for old NES games and stuff like that, but will they be able to accept you plugging in an Xbox One controller and using it? Or how are they going to manage that? Because I don't think these browsers have support for that necessarily. I could be wrong, though. Anybody know anything about that? Maybe I am wrong.
I think the latest version of browsers, especially on the Chrome and Firefox, you're not going to have any problem. Firefox actually has a really advanced JavaScript engine that allows Unreal Engine to run in it natively without doing like a video streaming thing. So there's some... I don't expect the browser technology to be a problem with this. And truthfully, I mean, you're just streaming video, so it shouldn't be a problem at all.
Cool. All right, so I'll definitely be looking out for that then, because I have tried plugging my controller in and playing some PC games, and it does work really well, especially for the Xbox One controller. So if you got one of those Xbox Live controllers with the Play and Charge kit, definitely, and you do PC gaming, definitely try to plug it in, especially if you have Windows 8. I mean, the way it supports it is just amazing now. It's just so easy. But yeah, anything else before we wrap up, guys, about this this service?
Real quick, I just wanted to ask Andrew before we go.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any games that you're looking forward to?
Dragon Age Inquisition. But the big one that I'm looking forward to is No Man's Sky, which if you saw the Spike TV Game Awards,
I did. Yeah, I saw that reveal. That was really out there. That is really something different.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
Didn't they... I feel like they said something like really... I didn't catch all the reviews of it and all the awards and whatnot, but didn't they say something about there being like an infinite amount of content in that game or something like that? What was it exactly? Yeah,
so they've got this really cool algorithm that generates worlds. So you could technically you could have an infinite number of planets created. They're going to constrain it a little bit, so it won't actually be infinite. But the objective of the game is to start all of the players completely someplace totally different, and then try to get to the center of the universe. So it's going to be pretty cool, and it'll be. I mean, it's an indie group of guys that are just just developing this on their own. It's a small team, and they've never done anything like this before. So it's pretty cool for them to do it. Mm-hmm. And I know that I see the Jizzle's not super excited about it, but man, it's an incredible development effort.
Well, it's a PS4 exclusive, right?
And it'll be a timed exclusive. I don't expect it to be exclusive all the way.
Yeah, by the time that comes out, I'll probably have a PS4. But that is one of the games that I would definitely get. I mean, there aren't a ton of games on PS4, I'd say right now, I'm going to get. But, with like for certain, but that would be one of them for sure. I think it looks pretty good. I mean, it was so different too at was it E3 that it got the reveal? Or was it Gamescom? It was E3, I think, wasn't it?
I thought it was the Spike TV thing.
Oh, was it
They
just
had like the big.
might have been just Spike TV because Spike broadcast E3 too, so I thought it might have been E3, but maybe it was just a Spike TV thing. But yeah, that was really different, really different. You gonna get that Assassin? You think?
I don't know much about it. I've heard of it, but I haven't seen anything. I might once I see stuff. But
Definitely check it out. I mean, I think it's definitely worth you looking at some videos or whatever because it is really different. There is a ton of content, and yeah, I mean, we're all looking for something different. I mean, we play these FPSs and we're like, oh wow, well, now we're bored. What are we gonna play? And this is like one of those different games that could definitely suck you in. Any other questions for Andrew before we wrap it up? I have a question for you. I think this is gonna be great for our Xbox podcast. What do you personally and maybe developers as a whole, if you can speak to that, think about the Kinect?
Well, I tell you that everything was a lot better a lot better outlook of the Kinect before Microsoft made it optional. Once Microsoft making it optional is going to kill it because now you've got developers that are developing for a piece of hardware that not all of your users are going to have. So I think the Kinect is cool, but it's not it's something that I would do. I guess I'd think of the Kinect in the same way that I think of mobile games. I've got to be in the right mood to be doing a mobile game or a Kinect game. So it's not something that is really core, but before Microsoft made it optional, there certainly was a market there of selling it to like the more casual or family audience, and I think Microsoft just killed themselves there, and might have killed Rare, the studio Rare, in the process.
Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, because they had so many good titles even before Microsoft owned them. I mean, they had stuff that was so well known. I mean, GoldenEye, Conquer, all those games were just so iconic for us old guys, of course. And for the younger generation, I think remakes of those would be cool, or a new IP along those lines. But Rare's been, as you said, sticking to the Kinect stuff, and yeah, I think they may be dead after this move. Clowns, you got something to say about it?
Not really. I was never a big fan of the Kinect, but I could see from the aspect if you started development for something and expect the Kinect to be there, you're going to lose market share. So I can see that being an issue for some developers that were looking forward to that.
Now,
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
It's what? What did you say?
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Nobody makes games for it, so they kill it, so nobody makes games for it.
Right. Good point. Now, when you were at EA and you were doing Madden 13, obviously there was no Kinect 2.0. There was Kinect 1.0, though. And I think Madden was one of the games that made use of it with like the play calling and all of that. Now, was that, for developers in general, was that kind of just like a way to use it, you think? Or did people really value that as a good add-on to the game? Or if you can't say, tell us you can't say, but I mean...
No, it's actually a funny story how Kinect got integrated into Madden 13. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you remember the E3 conference that year, but it was announced that all of EA Sports games were going to support the Kinect. Mm-hmm. So that was June, and that was the first time that anybody had heard that we were supposed to be integrating Kinect.
No way. Oh my god, that
Uh,
gave you no time for Madden. That's only a
so
couple months.
so what's interesting was that they with the original Kinect, you had to free up about 150 megs of RAM in order to use it, and in the Xbox 360, it only has 512 megs of RAM total. So that ended up resulting in like compressed animations and lower res textures and all that type of stuff just to get the Kinect like running. So those are all problems that Microsoft fixed in version 2, but it was a challenge, but it was really cool. I mean, I get to sit into some design meetings on how are we going to use this, and we prototyped a lot of things. We knew that it wasn't going to be anything with motion, so we just wanted to focus on what doesn't make sense when people are playing Madden. They're usually yelling at the TV, and wouldn't it be cool if you could call an audible? Wouldn't it be cool if you could call timeout in the heat of the moment? And that's I give EA a lot of credit. The developers that I know at EA, I give them a tremendous amount of credit for trying to do something cool with it instead of just shoehorning something in, because it really was an effort to get it in.
No, I mean Madden for sure. All the play calling stuff, I thought that was really cool, and I don't necessarily think that Madden's usage of it was just a look, we used it. I mean, look, we made it look special, but I mean some of the other EA games like FIFA. I can't remember exactly what you could do with it, but it wasn't a lot. It seemed like it was just added for show.
Right.
But I mean, I think the expectations for Kinect were kind of unrealistic anyway. Because what were you expecting? Were you expecting to be able to hike the ball and throw with your arm in Madden? I mean, that's kind of unrealistic, I think, to expect.
Yeah.
And especially as you're talking about it, the RAM usage. Just to get it functional, to speak at it and get it to do something in the game. I mean, you would have required so much more, I think, right, to get something like that.
It would have been terribly inaccurate, and it would have. I mean, it just wouldn't have been fun. At the end of the day, it just wouldn't have been fun.
Right. And that's what we're trying to have here, right, clowns? Is good old fun with our games.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for.
All right, guys. Anything else before we call it for this evening? It went a little long, a little bit of technical difficulty, a little bit of over talking about Destiny, but we're done with Destiny for now, I think.
Welcome to ESPN Headlines. I'm Cassidy Hubbard.
Somebody's watching an ESPN video.
There's one thing. The game came out, I think, a couple hours before it was supposed to come out, but D4 Dark Dreams Don't Die came out today.
Oh, really?
Like an hour ago.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah, $15. Go pick it up.
Go check it out. Go watch the streams.
Yep.
All right, so I think that's it, guys. An hour and almost 45 minutes later. Sorry for being late again. But I promise we are not going to go this long next time because there isn't going to be as much to talk about, and we don't have Destiny. So, so thank you, Andrew, for coming by. Hopefully we can have you come by again if you're interested and give us some insight on the current game topics. I think it was fun having you here, so I hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Hit me up anytime.
All right, cool. All right, we will. And for the rest of the guys, I think we're going to sign off. So thank you for watching. If you guys want to send us comments or questions or respond to our questions that we give in the week and for a chance to appear on the podcast, hit us up on Twitter. We're at 4GWQ Podcast. And on YouTube, if you can't watch it live 1 week, check us out on YouTube. 4 Guys and Quarters. And we have an email too, but no one's been emailing us, so I'm not even gonna get into it. But and we're changing over to a new email, so I'm not even gonna give it this week. So yeah, I think that's it. See you guys later. Thanks.